Hello, Editor Hurin here. Sorry about the bad quality. I blame Ashaman. Don't hold it against us and try to enjoy the episode anyway.
Hello, welcome to Spoilers Malazan. It's me and Ash. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to the party, everybody.
So, Ash, what do you got for this?
What do I got?
We finished it almost a month ago.
I am still heartbroken that Panda did not like the ending.
Yeah, that was shocking and sad.
Bellison's death is just too good. I'm curious as to how they will react to Devore at the end, because that's really the only time she shows how she feels about it.
Yeah, I couldn't help but laugh when the last episode they're like, yeah, I wish we could see Devore's perspective.
You're not gonna.
I think most readers respond pretty well to Devore at the end. But until again, the common thread is, why am I supposed to care about this lady? Why does everybody else? And I think that's the way it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah, because a lot of the time, even her own soldiers are wondering that exact question, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the end of Bone Hunters.
Yeah.
I don't know, since Panda reacted so poorly to House of Chains, I'm a little worried about Bone Hunter stuff. But Bone Hunters does tons of Bone Hunters.
Yeah.
She seems to like the soldier stuff.
Yeah, there is a lot of soldier stuff in Bone Hunters. So I do think she'll enjoy
so
it.
Good.
Yeah, the end is amazing. So I think, I hope at least House of Chains will be the low point for her in the series. The end of House of Chains, because obviously she liked the other three quarters well enough. Maybe she'll have a negative reaction to Toll the Hounds for a while.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that.
Yeah.
Especially since there's expectations there.
Yes.
This is by far my favorite.
Yeah, it's probably the most polarizing book in the series.
It is, empirically. People have had fan of the series rank it, and it either usually is ranked very, very highly or very lowly.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to reread it. Obviously the end is really good, but it took a while to get there for me. Especially the Nimander parts.
Oh, those are my favorite.
I expect I will like them a lot more this time around, but he is definitely a very angsty boy.
I think he serves well as a young Animander.
Yeah, he grows into the role very well. I'm wondering, what's he up to in The God Is Not Willing? It's just another character add to the list, right?
Yeah, he didn't appear.
No,
I think they only made passing mentions of the Andy, and it wasn't entirely clear if they were still at Coral or if they all lived in Curl Glen either.
Yeah. No clue.
We'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, everybody, this is... Ash, do you want to conclude spoilers for Guys Not Willing or not?
Yes. Since this is already so much spoilers, I think we're only getting the hardcore fans anyways.
Yeah.
And yeah, so everyone, if you have not read The God Is Not Willing yet, read it. It's excellent. And also listen to our episode on it, because that is also excellent.
Listen to it. It's perfect for this episode because it's basically a continuation of House of Chains.
Yes.
And Karsus.
It was pretty excellent timing, because, yeah, there are some threads that leave off in House of Chains and just pick up directly after and The God Is Not Willing. And I probably wouldn't have remembered a lot of them if we hadn't done it, like, back-to-back like that. Like, Rant's mother. I would not have remembered her.
Oh, really?
Because it's just like she doesn't get any lines. There are a couple sentences where she appears in the book, and then she's gone. Without.
Yeah, it's just Karsa took blood oil, raped this woman, and then she went crazy. That was about it.
Yep.
No mention of her again. Not even when I think his daughters came to visit him and told the hounds.
No. Yeah.
Something that was really surprising me in, I shouldn't say really surprising, but Widow Dallas. So it seems like all the Templar pretend either she really was married and they just didn't tell anybody, or they pretend like she was married to Byreth Guild. I think it's the latter.
Yeah. I think so too, because she had his kid, right?
I remember Carson's just saying terrible things about her, like, I'm going to make her my, I don't remember, he was just like incel-y vibes.
Yeah.
Because she had the goal of rejecting him and taking Byron Guild, and they were sexing before they were married or something.
Absolutely. And I was really expecting her to play more of a role, and the god is not willing. But
yeah, because she was in the prologue, and it was like she was made to be something really important, and her daughter was more important.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad that her daughter survived.
Yeah, me too. I don't want with Rand. Bayless, it was her perspective when the Templar attacked Silver Lake, right? And the water came, and she was protected by the Marine. And the Marine, that was her, right?
Yeah, the Marine essentially disintegrated. Yeah,
that was, I think, my second favorite chapter in that book.
It's really good. It really gave me in Dust of Dreams the Barghest.
Heavies.
Remember,
what?
When the Barghest were fighting, I think Letheras, and then they both end up dying because Draconis comes.
Draconis. Do you think Draconis is a good guy?
Oh, I'd like him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel fit to judge him yet.
It's impossible, right? It's just he has such a presence.
Yes, he has a big presence, and he's also so enigmatic.
Yeah, it's like his interactions with Sigander and Arathon. It's like he admonishes whatever. He seems to support the correct ideas or things that we should strive for, but at the same time, he's this uber powerful dude who seems to do bad stuff. Maybe.
Yeah, and he likes to give of himself sometimes more than he should, which I think is an admirable trait, but also obviously that gets him in hot water a lot.
I'm going to read Follow a lot against him.
For the Leosin in this book, do any of them show up again later in the Book of the Fallen?
I don't know. Who show up? I could do some Googling.
Because I'm not sure if I have this is a criticism of the series or not, but we never really get to see the Leosin power struggle that takes place essentially from Book 4 to Book 10. Which I imagine it was probably an interesting affair. But it gets kickstarted off in this, and we don't see it for a long time. It's like the Chain Rook. I think in Bone Hunters, they see, there's a bunch of Skykeeps, they're standing still. They're not mentioned for 3 books, and then Dust of Dreams comes along, and they kill most of the Bone Hunters.
Yeah, I believe Jorud might be the only one who's mentioned by name. Tice Leosin in this book. And I don't believe he shows up. He shows up again in Return of the Crimson Gardens. Stone Wielder, though.
I really think that Lorik should probably have gone to manage his people directly for a bit, you know?
Yeah, that would probably have been the right thing to do, but I can't blame him too much. I wouldn't want to spend time with him either.
Oh, I wouldn't want to spend time with it at all now. But, there's a
certain amount of responsibility should be expected.
Yeah, and, as Aceric's son, then he definitely would be in the right place to stop a lot of the damage that is done by their civil war. And
I want to know what's up with Osric.
Yeah, I have no idea what his goals are.
So at the near the beginning of Forge of Darkness, he leaves Lysander and all of the Leosin, right? Even before they come to Leosin. Do you think he ever returns after that?
That's a good question, actually.
He just starts getting worshipped because his father's dead.
Very good question. He does seem to have a lot of contempt for them.
Well, I
understand. He had to at least met up with one of them because he had a kid that was Leosin, so might be something there. After the Crippled God, I think he might be maybe the most powerful being on Wu left. I think his main competition there would be like Hood and Draconis.
Or Tren.
Who's that again?
It's the mix of Taishrin and K. Rool.
Oh, yes. Honorable mention to, of course, Karsa, but he seems to not be wanting to be a god. His ideas of godhood that are expressed in this book, it's really interesting. His then refusal to be a god and the god is not willing, because he doesn't want that kind of obligation to his followers.
Do you think that's the reason?
I think that's at least part of it.
I agree that's at least part of it. I think there's probably a lot more to it.
Yes. I imagine we'll find out more in book 2 of the series.
Maybe he's not that one either.
Oh, he's not in that one either?
I said maybe.
Maybe.
He's probably in it.
I don't think Steve could get away with 2 books without him.
I think it'd be hilarious if he went all 3.
I think you know. I think we'll probably also see Coltane in book 2, which is exciting.
Ooh, yeah.
The Wiccans in this book, I find it really interesting looking back, because essentially they are completely broken as a people after Deadhouse Gates, and like, do they even get any better in this book? I don't think so, right? Like, they find a little bit of hope and they sort of get their stuff together, but Nil and Nether are pretty sad.
Nil and Nether are pretty broken.
Yeah.
I think what was the name of the leader of the Wiccans in this?
Oh, Temel? Was it?
Temel, yeah, it's Temel. I think Temel does make some progress with his warriors, especially with the help of
the Bird Tears, yeah, who are unfortunately all doomed. But
yeah, that was my favorite. Was that Crippled God or Dust of Dreams?
I think it's Dust of Dreams. They get annihilated by the Nuruk when they charge.
That's right.
They get mostly annihilated, and then
afterwards, there's some of them still alive.
There's like a
the
couple,
leader has a child. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good part.
Mm-hmm.
Gaul, right? Yeah, Warrior Gaul. I noted some parts here that are good foreshadowing. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but it says that the Teblor... Oh, no! Panda noticed it in the first episode.
Sounds familiar. What is it?
The Teblor knocked it to the earthen floor, then shattered it with a single stomp of his heel.
Yes.
It was a Fenrir statue, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my god, Panda. She's like, I don't know what it means. I do.
Yeah, we're going to have to remind her of this, probably.
6 books.
6 books. Actually, only 5 now, right?
Yeah.
Is it? No, it is 6, you're right.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 6.
Yeah, House of Chains might be the book in the series that sets up the most long-term stuff. Now that I was about to say. Yeah.
Yeah, you see a lot of the machinations of Shadowthrone and Gatillion. You see Karsa being set up in the House of Chains itself and what's going on there. You see Tavor's development, I suppose you could call it, and the beginning of the Bone Hunters.
This is definitely where she's most uncertain, and she lets the most emotion leak through, I think. Which is funny, because it's still not much at all, right?
Nope. I think this is the most emotion you see in Tavor, and specifically in the scene where she was kind of open with Gambit and Pearl and Lestara.
Yes.
And since then, nothing.
I remember so I tried to see if I could figure anything out about Timbre this read through. I did not.
See, it's never ever clear when she actually is taken by the aerosol.
I don't think it's in this book, at least.
I'm looking out for it, but Timbre is even more enigmatic than Tavor, in my opinion.
She might be the most enigmatic figure in the series. Because we get like maybe a couple lines from her. We know that she and Tavor had a close relationship. At least
probably romantic.
Was, yeah, romantic, and also
training.
consisted of a lot of sword fighting.
Yeah. I didn't quite understand the line that she had at the end. It says, I don't think she's going to need my training today or something. If any of our listeners remember, please help me.
Yeah. Try and figure out Tamper for us.
I'm sure Niflrog knows something. Hey, Niflrog, you should write about Tamper.
Yeah, give us an essay.
You should make a video about Tamper. See,
maybe we'll ask Steve about it. Or
that's
later.
good, yeah.
Yeah. Not.
No, we can't. Yeah, we gotta wait till after Bone Hunters.
Yeah, after Bone Hunters, but I assume he'll be good for another conversation.
Yeah. I'm sure he will.
Probably.
I'm wondering if he's willing to stick around after our Midnight Times conversation so we can talk about the goddess not living.
He seems really generous with his time, so maybe. I think he'll
bye,
probably
be. Bye, Panda.
The cool kids want to talk now. I wonder. I think he'll probably be good to come on for at least 2 more.
Yeah.
I was thinking after Toll the Hounds and then after the Crippled God. I think those are good moments to have on.
I agree. So we see Grief. That was very powerful because before I got to that point, I think I mentioned in the episode. No, I couldn't have because it's Forge of Darkness. I had just read the scene where they named the sword Grief or Vengeance.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite scene in that book.
Yes. It's a really good scene.
Really good. And
I feel like Dassam is maybe the perfect man to have it.
Yeah.
Because, well, he certainly has a singular will.
He has a singular will, and, I mean, he's obviously grieving his daughter, but he wants vengeance against Hood.
Yeah.
So it's his choice.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's funny that he kills Rake with vengeance, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
because
sort of. Like the actual weapon that kills Rake is Dragonfur.
Yeah, but that's because Rake stole his vengeance against Hood.
I really don't know how I feel about that whole Hood versus Dassam thing. But
I wish I knew more about it.
Yeah, same. Because I really don't know where I stand on it.
I don't either. I want to hear Hood's perspective because all we know is that Hood took his daughter, which I guess we're led to believe that he used her for sacrifice or something, but that doesn't sound like Hood. But we don't know what the purpose was, and we don't know how she felt about it. And
yeah, Hood's obviously a very compassionate guy, and he has very good reasons for all the things he does usually. Yeah. Whiskey jar accepted.
You've not read The Path to Ascendancy, right?
No. I have not.
So Dassam's in those, and he's very, very pious. So you get an idea of what Dassam was like before he broke from Hood. It's really good contrast.
Yeah, it's usually the most pious that break the hardest from the religion.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
They're digging their heels or everything.
Like Korab.
Oh god, I cannot wait for Bone Hunters.
I love it when he turns good.
That's what. I just get chills. The other day, somebody was talking about. I think it was Red Army, and he just read Yagatan, and I reread the last few pages of that chapter. And it's so good.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't leave Fiddler. So I think that's when Banda's going to be like, yeah, this Korab guy's okay.
I agree. There's I do think, thinking about it more now, I think she'll really, really like Bone Hunters because there's a lot of camaraderie, a lot of romance, not very much time with stupid politics. There's...
And Hellion. Everybody loves Hellion.
Hellion's polarizing.
Really? I thought everybody liked Hellion.
There are a lot who like her, a lot who hate her.
Just because she's an alcoholic or something?
And she kind of bumbles her way through the series.
That's fair.
She's very irreverent, but the moment I was really sold on her was in Reaper's Gale when she came up with the pub crawl. And
she's
then
very intelligent.
The moment she became one of my very favorite characters was when she was telling the story about the spiders, the
I think it was Dust of Dreams, right?
Yeah, she's just lying about it. She just doesn't like spiders.
Who needs a reason? Be kind to spiders, everybody. They're our friends.
They are our friends. If you have spiders in your home, that's because they're eating all the bugs.
I know. I just always kind of took Herb at his word that she's a really good commander. I love Herb. So we put it together.
It was a slow burn for sure.
My first time.
No, go ahead. No, you can go ahead.
My first time through, I didn't actually notice all the weird stuff that Cora was doing. Like, since it was basically just a camera watching this perspective and what's happening. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't understand like how absolutely absurd it was until I read closer. It's very dry.
I didn't catch it 100% the first raid that he went on. But by the second time he got obscenely lucky, I was like, okay, there's something up there.
Mm.
I didn't really figure that he was a Pawn's Chosen, but...
yeah, when do we find that out?
I think it's Bone Hunters. Maybe it's Reaper's Scale.
I don't remember.
We get introduced to Captain Kindly and Lieutenant Pores very slowly in this book.
Yeah. One time with Karsa and then once with Kalam, right?
I think so.
I wish we didn't really get a feel for their characters in it.
No, not at all. Which I think will make Bone Hunters pretty funny. Because they just have such a great dynamic.
See, I hated Kindly for a long time until we got to, I think, the Crippled God, and we kind of understood his character better.
Hmm.
Like, he was a funny character, especially with the way he treated Pores, but I just was like, this guy is awful. But I love Kindly.
He's not awful. But,
like, you understand his motivations and you could understand it better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think QuickGen does a really good video about Kindly and Pores.
We also get a very understated introduction to Sin in this work. And...
understated is a good way to put it.
Yeah. Because it turns out...
There's a lot of subtext there.
Yeah, it turns out she is obscenely powerful and also very damaged. And neither one of those really come through all that much.
No. She comes off in this book as just basically a refugee who wants vengeance. And like that just comes off as normal, right? What she turns into is just something very different.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Sin.
How old is she? I never really get a good grasp on her age.
I don't know. We're between 9 and 15.
I always get the feeling from this book, at least, that she's relatively old, 18 or so.
She becomes friends with Grub. But hey, we're talking about timelines again, so...
Yeah. I think she definitely mentally regresses for a while, right?
Yeah.
She's a really interesting character. I wish we gotten her perspective more. I think we get exactly once.
Let's see. So we get a prophecy from Calm after she's released.
About Karsa?
Do you think we've seen what she prophesies yet, or is that still yet to come?
I think it's still to come.
Yeah.
And I think Karsa, maybe that's one of the reasons why he doesn't want to embrace his godhood.
Ooh, that's good speculation.
Right? Because he is a very deep thinker. And it definitely sounds like a Karsa thing to do, to be like, oh, yeah, that thing that happened 7 books ago, yeah, that's really been worrying me. I don't want to turn it into something that just destroys the world.
Could be. But, I mean, up until the end of Crippled God, he kind of came off as somebody who definitely did want to destroy the world.
Yes.
Or at least civilization, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something happened between the end of the Crippled God and the beginning of God Is Not Willing that just made him sort of give up on that, it seems.
Maybe Samar Dev got to him.
Maybe she did.
I hope Panda likes Samar Dev. I know Yasna will.
Mm-hmm. I get the feeling that she will. Samar Dev is a good character.
So, yeah, I agree. Especially, I think she will too, because she likes Karsa.
Yeah, and they ask good questions of each other.
Conversations are always interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We get, I don't know if we talked about this, we get some clues to Tavor's identity as a Talon.
Yes, we do.
I think we get the most in this book.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. and then it's just not mentioned at all for another few books. Especially, I think the most obvious one is like when they're wondering who is Tavor that she was able to command a Talon, and oh man, I really thought that Yasna would guess it. But what did they settle on?
He catches so much that I never did.
Yeah.
What's that? What did they settle on? I don't remember.
It was something.
Did they have a conclusion?
I think they had like speculation, and I don't think the speculation was that she was a Talon herself.
I really wish that it wasn't so obvious that Traveler was Dassam. I think that's partially our fault because we keep bringing him up in conversation.
Maybe. I think Yasna was gonna figure it out basically no matter what, because he's reading Path to Ascendancy literally at the same time.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't matter. That's pretty cool. He read Nine of Knives, which he knows explicitly that Dassam wasn't dead, so...
Mm-hmm. He knows that Dassam wasn't dead. He also had Dassam in his mind while reading this, because I wasn't thinking about Dassam a lot during the series, because he...
I wasn't at all. I'm just like, okay, so some former First Sword. The fact that the Emperor and Cotillion were not dead didn't like ring any bells for me. I'm just like, okay, I'm along for the ride. I'm not one to make predictions anyway when I read, so.
Yeah.
In Waukesha, I can't think it. I have no idea what's going to happen in Waukesha. I don't even want it. Maybe I do. If I was smarter, I could probably make some predictions.
How long do you think we'll spend trying to explain what's going on in Lethares with regards to Warrens and Holds next episode?
Not too long. It's confusing, but like just like okay, Holds are older forms of Warrens, and Gothos froze the Lethares continent, so it's in its place so that it hasn't.
He froze it
developed,
not only literally but metaphorically.
Yeah. And they don't have the deck of dragons; they have the tiles. The tiles correspond with Warrens. I think a lot of the new terms are going to be more confusing than anything, like Sita.
Kuruquan. Love that guy.
I like him. What was the title of Garen Ebricht in Brisbedict? I want to ask Steve how to pronounce Briz. Is it Briz or Bryce or Bryze?
It's a good question. I have not the foggiest, although I assume there's a pronunciation guide somewhere.
Yeah, but did he make it?
Steve? Yeah. No, but he says the names of his characters sometimes, so you can sort of infer it from that.
Well, I got it's just an F. Finad.
Yes.
See, I can't even remember it. How could I expect them?
Yeah, I think... I really hope they'll like Midnight Tides. I'm really unsure Panda will.
I mean, she wants funny, and it doesn't get funnier than Tehil and Bug, so...
There's a lot of fun. I'm unsure as to whether or not she's going to be put off by some of the sexual humor from...
from Blah Blah Blah.
Yes, and the pirate lady. What's her name?
Shrikalal.
Yeah.
Yeah, she seems to be put out by a lot of sexual humor.
And this is like...
Honestly, the sexualization of Blah 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 makes me uncomfortable. He's like 6 years old in his mind.
That's true. And all he wants is a steady relationship.
And he gets used. I mean, it's kind of... It's just grooming. I mean, that's all you could say.
Yeah.
It's taking advantage of somebody who's very, very, very stupid and grooming them. It's not that clear cut, but yeah.
Yes. Consent can get very thorny.
Especially in cases like that.
Yeah. I do think that they will both like Tehil a lot. And Bug. Because that's an excellent relationship. I think they'll also probably really like the fact that Bug is male.
I'm going to be writing down every little hint that we get. I'll bring it up in the last episode.
The first one that I remember off the top of my head is that Bug had a building technique that's super advanced. And you kind of wonder, wait, how does he know that? He's just a manservant.
How does he know anything?
Yes.
The dude is obviously somebody important, or somebody who has a lot of power, and that's all that we can kind of surmise.
Tehil's humor does an excellent job of masking that, I think.
I agree.
Because he calls so much attention to himself. Did they... I forget, did they like Troll or in this book or no?
Yasna loves Troll's parts. Me, I liked him more than before because Troll was funny. I think Panda liked it fine.
Yeah, okay. Because I think whether or not someone likes Midnight Tides leans heavily on how much they like Troll and how much they like Tehil. Because...
Does anybody not like Tehil? He's literally my favorite character.
He's so awesome. I think he's the smartest guy in the series.
Yeah, it's either between him or Quickben.
Yeah, probably.
Some people would say Fatty. What's his name? Krupp. Some would say Krupp, but I just don't think Krupp shows his intelligence that much. And
I don't either.
In Memories of Ice, well, he says that he's going to be the one who stands between the world and the crippled god, right? But he kind of does nothing after Memories of Ice.
He does like a few things in Toll of the Hounds, but that doesn't really have anything to do with crippled god in the first place.
Yep.
Yeah, he talks the big game, but he's just not active. Like Tehil and Quickben are like always working to fix what they think is wrong with the world. Which is one reason why I like Tehil so much. He's just like, immediately from the start, he's being very proactive. He sees that his society is diseased. He doesn't want to destroy it. He wants to reform it. Like, all of those are really awesome.
And he makes smart decisions not to go too far, because at the end of Midnight Tides, he sees that if he went through with his plan, then it would be really bad, and he decides against it, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't have an ego like Quickben.
Or Krupp. No, he doesn't. He's completely fine just dressing in rags and eating garbage all the time.
I think Penna would also really like his interactions with Briss, and they're talking about Holbeck too.
Probably.
I'm always really moved by those scenes when they're talking about their parents and Tehil and how much he actually does care about us. Because when you get the realization that he was the one who bought the islands and put the refugees there, and remember, it's not really before his brother, but he did it anonymously too.
Because
he's such a good guy.
He's such a good guy. He's so wholesome. And once he gets absolute power, he immediately starts fixing everything that's wrong with the system. I don't remember if I said this last episode or not, but he's essentially the philosopher king that Plato always wanted.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, and he's probably going to be the last king of Lether.
Yeah, I really want to talk to Steve about that, because by the end of the series, Lether has the best government, basically, and it's not even close.
I think that was very deliberate on some part. We could ask him if it was, but I think it was.
Because, it doesn't hurt that there was an elder god managing all the top positions as well.
Yeah. Sita Bug. He was a Sita, right?
He had a lot of titles. The Geron's persona is so funny. It's like a head treasurer bug, Sita bug.
Here it is. Chancellor bug, Sita bug, treasurer bug. I remember thinking at the end of Midnight Tides when Bug and Tehil were talking, and Bug was contemplating erasing Tehil's memory. Like, no, don't do it, no! And it's such a good choice not to do it.
Yep. If anyone could handle it properly, it was Tehil.
Ooh, and nothing changes, and that's perfect. I'm really, really looking forward to the scene when Bug moves the eater that were trying to kill Tehil to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
Like, hey, guys, you remember that in Memories of Ice?
Mm-hmm.
This guy.
Another thing I like about Tehil. He is not infallible, and he does make mistakes, and he does get punished for it. That's probably my biggest problem with Krupp, is that he never gets punished for any of his mistakes.
We should probably talk about Tehil after Midnight Tides. We are on House of Chains now.
We're on House of Chains.
So I like all this stuff in Seven Cities, because we get a lot of illusions. Illusions is not the right word. We get a lot of references to the First Empire, which is one of the most interesting, I don't know, enigmas in the series for me. I love piecing it together. And I really want a novel set during the First Empire.
It'd be very interesting. I think
Marcus and all the Soul Taken.
Yeah,
what went down
caused that disaster in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and their interactions with the Tlanimas, interesting, I think, at least, because everyone has the conception that the Tlanimas just destroyed them out of spite, essentially. Because they stole
they used the same name.
Yeah, exactly.
But How dare you call yourselves the First Empire? Yeah, I doubt that.
It was, I didn't we get confirmation in this book that it was because of the ritual going out of control and they needed to make sure that Soul Taken and Divers didn't overrun the continent, especially?
Confirmation in quotes. Because these are the Tlanimas, how much can you ever believe that, right?
I usually trust them when they say things because they're, like, they don't care enough to lie all the time.
Do they remember perfectly?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't think anyone remembers perfectly, right? But
I wonder if some of it has to do with the fact that, to make Soul Taken and Divers, you need to use, it has some sort of connection with the Beast Hold, right?
Some sort of connection, yeah.
And because that's the old hold of the Mas, Beast Mix there too.
Mm-hmm. You need a connection to the Beast Hold, unless you need a connection with Starville Denelane.
That's tricky.
And
dragons are special. That's why.
Yeah, I don't know how the Jek fit into all of this.
Yeah, I don't either.
Right?
I bet the Jek have got to be just special too, right?
They feel special. They might. Okay, so the Aerosol were the original inhabitants, but maybe they're original alongside the Jek. Because the Jek are they have a lot of human qualities, and at the same time they're Soul Taken. I think they were around before the Tlanimas. I think we get mention of them in the Karkanos series. Maybe they're like a sort of mirror to the Aerosol, where the Aerosol are like they're just basically half human, half beast, but the Jek are half human, half beast, but split into two completely separate parts, like Jekyll and Hyde. I don't know.
Maybe.
But they're seemingly everywhere in the world, except for Seven Cities, which is interesting.
The Jek are very interesting, and I really like the interactions with Hout in Forged Darkness. Hout's awesome.
Yes.
So, look at my notes. I think that might be everything I have. So we get our second scene on the Solanda. I always make up Solanda and Solanda.
It's Solanda.
Solanda, okay.
Yeah.
So we learned that, we know that he kills Benedos, Troll's brother.
Yeah.
Poor Benedos, like, he seems to get the shaft.
Literally.
So, like, we know a lot about Fear, we know a lot about Troll, we know about Roulette. Benedos is just kind of like that other brother.
He definitely felt like he was being set up for important things, but Karsa's killing of him just, took him out of Steve's plans.
Oh yeah, that was a nat 20, right?
It was a nat 20. And like all through Midnight Tides, like you get the sense that there's something up with him, right? And I don't think he's horribly malformed like all of the other warlocks in of the Teist Eater are at the end of Midnight Tides, right? So I think he was up to something that we'll never know.
Never know.
Unless we ask Steve.
We could.
We could.
Yeah, let's put it on the list.
Yeah. Maybe not for after Midnight Tides. I don't know. But
there's a good chance he probably just doesn't remember too, though.
Yes. I'm surprised he does remember so much, honestly. Because
no notes.
He hasn't reread the series. He doesn't have any notes. I don't know. Maybe just talking about it occasionally is enough for him to remember most of it. It's crazy. I will say, if he sold prints of his maps, I would be so down to buy some of those.
I would as well.
Because didn't he show us one, or we saw one in the background during the interview? Something like that?
I don't think he showed us one, but I think he's pulled one out once, interview or something.
And they're really nice too. Steve, become a ruthless capitalist. Sell us your merch, please. I kind of get
exorbitant prices.
Yeah, I kind of get Bill Watterson vibes from him, although not as extreme because Bill Watterson was kind of a special case. But he famously refused to sell the rights
merchandise,
any at all. The only iteration of Calvin Hobbes that will ever exist is the comics. No movies, no shirts, no blushes, nothing.
At least until he's dead.
And the IP runs out, if that ever happens. But
a lot of people, once their relatives die, they start selling their stuff.
Yeah.
Like I believe, who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird? Harper Lee.
Yes.
Later in her life, she from what I understand, she was kind of demented. Is that the right word?
She had dementia.
Yeah.
I think. And To Set a Watchman was printed with dubious consent from her, I think.
Exactly, that's what I've been told. And a lot of people said it wasn't very good, and she didn't want it published, and I can understand why.
Yeah, same.
Just people taking advantage.
Absolutely. Good thing that it happened to J.D. Salinger.
I only have one last note, and that was with Callum. So when he was buying those knives, he says, here I wrote it down, "You damned fool, Cotillion, you were there at the last chaining, weren't you? You should have stuck a knife in the bastard right then and there." There's a lot of setup in this book.
It wouldn't have worked, but...
Yeah, good point. But, I mean, that's what happens.
It's what happens. I did not get the purpose of that until I read about it. I imagine it'll be the same for both these. Because it feels like it comes out of nowhere, right?
Or just one line that makes sense in context.
Yeah.
Be upon a reread doesn't make do you get a second meaning, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this book is really where the world feels like it really opens up to me. Because Deadhouse Gates, while it is on the Seven Cities, it feels relatively claustrophobic. I think intentionally, because everyone's being chased all the time. And this book, there's a lot of players introduced from other places. And a lot of plot threads set up, and it doesn't feel like that happens in the previous 3 books nearly as much. Memories of Ice is essentially a conclusion. Gardens of the Moon, an intro, but based off of a movie script, so.
Yeah, that could definitely be a standalone.
Yeah. He could have published this as a duology, even if he wanted. Just Gardens of the Moon and Memories of Ice.
It's doable.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of setups, Chekhov's gun is loaded very obviously in this book when we see
Korobus.
Yeah. Which...
That scene will always be in my mind.
Yeah.
It was
my single favorite image from the series. And I think it's just brilliant how he did it. Because, a crucified dragon made out of Odotarl.
Who's going to forget that?
Yeah, right? That's so vivid, and it feels so wrong on so many levels, right?
And then when she shows up in book 10, you just oh.
Yep. It's almost like, I was waiting for this to happen. I really appreciate how long Steve is willing to let the gun just sit loaded.
A lot of things just never go off, too.
Mm-hmm. I want more Teist. I feel like I have enough Teist Andy, but I want more Teist Eater, and I want more Teist Leosin.
Oh, we got more Eater than we do Andy.
Sort of.
I mean, Teist is basically just half Eater.
It's
we don't have anything like that with the Andy. Toll the Hounds is maybe 30%. Okay, maybe Toll the Hounds is 50% Andy.
They have more of a presence over the scope of the series, right? They show up in Gardens, and then the last appearance they have is Crippled God, right?
Yeah.
And we get a lot of Proto-Andy and Carcanus.
And Proto-Eater, and Proto-Leosin.
We get it. Yeah, the Proto-Eater are a lot less developed in Harkness. Like, obviously, because they're the third group that came out of it, right? But after... I really want to know what came of them after Reaper's Gale, because they kind of just go back to their tribal ways, right?
Yeah.
I would hope that they become wiser as people, but who knows? Like, because they got really screwed with bad leaders.
No kidding.
What's his face? The Warlock King was like setting up to be almost alright, but he was still like a bad person.
Hannah Mosaic.
Yeah. But, you know, Rulad was obviously just awful. And then we have Trull, who is everything they should have been.
Yeah. Trull's a bro. So, in here we learn that there's a connection between Curled Leosin and Talon, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that connection was created? I brought this up in Dead House Gates, didn't I?
Maybe.
I don't know. Do you think that connection is between because of Hunral and Olarathel?
Hey, that probably is. There's probably something there. Yeah. I still think Talon is somewhat a descendant of Leosin, but that may have been the start of the link.
Maybe.
That's interesting. Going back to Trull, I think he's actually the perfect eater in like that. That's kind of just possible because they are obviously an in-between people, and he is a very fair guy, willing to see both sides of an issue at all times.
Uh-huh.
Whereas obviously the Leosin quite literally see things in black and white, and the Andi are sort of just depressed the whole time.
They see things in shades of depression.
Yeah, exactly. they're just in abject despair through the entire series.
I mean, I feel for him, but it does kind of get old.
Yeah. They have a very specific ennui to them. I think they should have set up that like sort of more what was going on with them before, because I don't think we really get a feel for why they're so angsty at this moment. And it's essentially just because Mother Dark abandoned them, right?
It's gotta be more than that.
And they lost Curled Ghislaine, and, you know, their species is shattered and stuff like that. But once they have Mother Dark again, that's when they start to really rebuild themselves.
Yeah, she hasn't talked to them for a long time, though.
Yeah.
Honestly, I love that part of, I think it was the Crippled God of Vesper Dreams, when Mother Dark is back, and she only talks to Withel. It's like, I'm not even Andy, why are you talking to me?
She's so... I have such mixed feelings about Mother Dark.
I like Mother Dark, almost entirely because of that conversation she has with her priest in Fall of Light, when her priest is like, give us something, like, you're our god, like, you need to, like, tell us what to do. And she's like, you know what, how about don't kill people, be nice to each other, like, I shouldn't have to tell you these things, just live how you know you're supposed to live.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be used for holy wars. Yep. I think it's a very fair thing. But I think she could have been a little bit more explicit, you know? Because
that was about as explicit as it gets.
No, but like before that. Because she kind of just like let the entire realm descend into chaos without lifting a finger.
Not really, because so Adamander goes to her and he's like, tell me what I should use this sword for. And she says, don't. He's like, but like, I'm your knight. I need to do stuff. And she explicitly tells him, don't fight. And he still does it anyway.
Oh, yeah, but like, I don't think Hunral was ever going to be stopped short of violence, right?
Mm.
Like, I think Karkanis, like, everything could have been avoided if either Urusander really acted up or Mother Dark really acted up. But I guess they don't want to do that because they don't want to... okay, Mother Dark doesn't want to do that because she's tyrannical. She doesn't want to be a tyrant, sorry. And Urusander doesn't want to do that because he's...
tired of killing?
Apathetic, basically.
I don't think he's apathetic. I think he was, just like almost all of the soldiers, he was really put off by all the violence and the killing in the Fort Chlorosil War.
He was, but he also sort of knew what Hunral was up to.
Mm.
And what he was capable of.
It came to a point where he did know.
Yeah, and he just
didn't do anything about it.
Yeah. And then Honorable became unstoppable, essentially. And like the entire story of Karkness was up to that point was like everyone was thinking, oh, Honorable, he's just a drunk. I can deal with him whenever. And it turns out, you can't. He's got enough momentum.
I love Honorable's scenes. They're really fun to read.
Everyone thinks that they haven't figured out, and maybe they do, but does that even matter when he has enough power that he can do whatever he wants? So he does not. And to tie this back to House of Chains, this is why the Leos are the way they are these days.
Osric doesn't take any responsibility for the heist, and neither does Lorik.
I sort of think that when you are in those kinds of positions, you have a responsibility too.
Mm-hmm. With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly, right? And Osric is he's just doing whatever he wants. And what he wants is being an isolationist, essentially. And no one knows what his long-term goals are. Does Lorik show up again in the series? I don't know.
Yeah, he's in Lone Hunters.
Okay. But then he doesn't show up again after that, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, at some point he disappears.
Yeah, he plays a pretty big role in Lone Hunters because he's like, hey, Cutter, can you take care of this group? And then like the whole group gets like killed by Yvas, and Fellis the Younger gets
Kidnapped
and turned into like hedonistic sheik.
Yep.
And Solara's pregnant, and
Grey Frog dies.
Grey Frog dies, yeah. That was a big part of it. Yeah, he sent Grey Frog with him to protect them, right?
And Lorik sort of dies.
And Lorik gives Solara a bunch of crap because she wants to give away her baby. So I thought about that. And Lorik doesn't have any right to say that kind of thing, but Lorik also was kind of abandoned by his by his mother and his father. He didn't really know him, so I can understand a little bit better where he's coming from.
Yeah. Solara really develops into a great character, I think, as well, really, after this.
I even liked, little bits of her in Toll the Hounds. She's still part of this crazy cult, but she was brainwashed into it, and she gets healed, and she shows a lot of growth.
You mean House of Chains?
What did I say?
Toll the Hounds.
Yeah. I was thinking about Toll the Hounds because she's in that. She's fantastic in Toll the Hounds. I love her.
Yeah, like so many other characters in this book, there's so much more to her than what we're shown. And the development is just top notch and not predictable at all, I think. I
do not love her in Orbs Enter Throne. But I understand her.
She's had a very hard life.
Yeah. So I understand her choices.
I think it's amazing that she managed to remain somewhat of a good person despite everything.
She's a really good person.
Yeah. Because, a lot of people let the stuff that's happened to them just kind of ruin them as people, and they become, venomous and hateful. But even when she's fully bought into the cult, and she is used as a sex slave, and she's drugged up all the time, even then, she does acts of kindness for no reason at great personal expense, usually.
Yep.
So, it's having bad things happen to you gives you a reason for being a bad person, but it's not an excuse. Looking at you, Febril and Bowden. No, not Bowden. Bidethal, yes.
So, I think really anything can give you... People can look for excuses, make excuses at anything that happens, and I think people who are hurt and hurting often understandably lash out and hurt others, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people also take that into themselves, and they turn that into motivation not to do it to the people, which I think is beautiful.
Absolutely. And, sometimes the people who fight hardest for other people are going through some really bad stuff themselves. Yeah, that's essentially all I have.
Yeah. Be kind to one another.
Yeah. Be excellent to one another.
Be excellent. Alright, so that was our spoilers for House of Chains.
Definitely not a Carpenter. Man, when we do get to spoiler episodes of a Carpenter, things can get wild. We'll have discussed it all already.
I hope Walken shows up. I'm explicitly going to ask Steve when we talk to him next about his progress in Walken's show.
Steve is he's a pretty consistent writer.
He is.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. So, like, after The Crippled God, right? So he didn't write much in the Malazan universe, but he wrote 3 short novels.
Yeah.
In the Willful Child series. And he wrote Rejoice, and I guess that's it.
Yeah, and then Carkness, and then
That's not one.
But
So yeah, it's still pretty consistent, but it's just not as consistent as, big door stoppers once a year.
Oh yeah. He's not like Brandon Sanderson, but he I think he writes a lot better than Sanderson does.
I agree. And he definitely rivals most consistent authors.
Yeah, I think so as well. And even though he's slowed down a bit with his age and having finished Book of the Fallen, which took a lot out of him, like he's still I think he hits his deadlines, right?
Yeah, probably. We don't know his deadlines.
Yeah, it's true. Carkness took him longer to write, but that's also because Carkness is...
it looks more difficult to write.
Yeah, it's essentially like 1 million words of poetry. Which...
And I believe Fall of Light is his longest book, actually.
Fall of Light is really long, yeah. I don't think Panda would like Carkness, based on her reaction.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah. He's probably too slow.
And too much politicking.
A lot of politicking.
Yeah, she doesn't like politicking, it seems.
What other books have politicking? Reaper's Gale?
Reaper's Gale has politicking, but it's very dramatic politicking, sort of. And also, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's very different from Harkness and House of Chains because...
It's more relatable, I think.
Yeah. And I think there's like a very real element of tragedy there because the Eater essentially lose their entire culture. Even after...
I was thinking more along the lines of the Patriots and them keeping things from Rulon.
Yeah, like the death of his parents.
Okay, so we're actually going to call it now. Everybody, thanks for listening. It's been Hurinfan and Ashaman. Thank you.
And we'll see you in the next one, guys.
Bye.